We've got Rose Grimaldi and Jordan Karp from the United County Board of Elections. Good morning. If I turn your mics on, that'll help. There we go. Good morning.
How we doing?
How are you?
So we're talking this morning. There's a couple of things I wanted to get into with you guys, but we've been talking about this
before
morning.
the news broke last night about the signatures. There's a lot to get into.
For no hospital downtown. One of the candidates, Frank Gentile, said, I didn't have enough. I submitted what I had. He's not objecting. He understands why. We talked with Lou Posha on the phone, and he stopped by and let us take a look at the signatures. Tell us about the process for validating a signature in general, if you could.
Sure. So when a petition comes in, there's a presumption of validity to the petition. So unless there's something materially wrong with the petition, there's no candidate name, there's no address, unless there's something like that, the petition is presumptively correct. It's up to a challenge of a voter in that political jurisdiction, so in this case the first ward, to file a general objection against the petition and then follow that up within 6 days with a specific objection, meaning specifically which signatures are bad, which ones should be thrown out, and from there the commissioners rule on the validity of each signature that are only given to us in that specific objection. So, in other words, if they say page 2, line 1, the signature's bad, we can't look up page 2, line 2 and say, oh, that signature's bad. We only go on what the specific objections are.
Okay.
Now, both commissioners have to agree that the signature is bad for it to be thrown out. Oftentimes, Commissioner Grimaldi and I disagree on petitions and which one goes out and which one stays in. So if we disagree, the petition that signature stays in. So in this particular case, I think we both agreed. We had different counts at the end of the process, but we both agreed that Mr. Posha did not have enough valid signatures.
That was one of the things he pointed out to me. Was he said one of you ruled there was 30 valid signatures, the other one said 29. That explains it, though. I think.
Yep.
The other issue was whether it was an actual signature or not. The page that he showed me, I've got it on my phone. I know you both have seen it
Several times.
One looked like exactly. One looked like it was like a circle, and for me, it was difficult to say is that a signature or not. But you mentioned before we began, there's a specific, I'll say rule. I don't know if it's called a rule that you cannot print your name. Is that correct?
So if you print your name, if that's how you sign your name, if that's the signature we have on file at the Board of Elections, that's fine.
Okay.
But if I print my name, Jordan Karp, but I sign it, and if anyone's seen my signature, it's awful, you'd clearly say that's not my signature because we have everyone's signature who's a registered voter on file at the Board of Elections. So if you print your name and where it says signature and you actually have a signature on file at the Board of Elections, the statute is clear. It has to be a signature. And that's there's no sort of room for negotiation there.
No, there's no wiggle room there.
Yeah.
So when I sign my name, it's something that resembles cursive. Again, mine's terrible too. But if you have that, what looks like a signature that's in cursive writing, and I were to sign a petition printing my name, it's out. It's not legible. It's not a valid signature.
If it's pretty close, we'll normally take it because as we always joke, we're not handwriting experts,
right? Yeah,
sure.
And we're not paid to be handwriting experts.
Absolutely,
it's a tough decision.
Yeah, but there's definitely a difference between a distinct difference between printing a name and signing a name.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
all right, and it also has
but there
to be
wasn't on one, and that's why we got different counts because I interpreted something differently than Commissioner Grimaldi, and so in that particular case, she said, "No, I think that's a good signature," and I said, "I don't think it is a good signature." So there are times where we disagree. Yeah,
sure, absolutely. So again, one of you had 30, the other said 29. And the number he needed was 31. Are there will be no candidates unless this is challenged in court and overruled. There will be no candidates on the no hospital downtown line?
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
There will be
not
no
even for the general.
No, remember, this is only for the general election. This is not a primary. This is an independent party petition. We only had 2 candidates submit petitions, and as of right now, they're both out. And I guess one is saying that, he didn't have enough signatures. So,
Did you want to follow up anything on the downtown? Or are we moving on to the next
No,
thing?
we can move on.
There was the
issue of there was the 2 signatures that were the problem on the page, but that whole page would be invalid.
Is that the rule as well? You disqualify a whole page if there's one?
No. So if there's one signature wrong on the page, we only eliminate that signature. But at the bottom of each page of a petition, it says, how many signatures do I have here? In this particular case, Mr. Posha said there were 8 signatures on the page. There were only 6. When you overstate the number on the bottom, the whole page goes. If you understate the page at the bottom, let's say you had 10 let's say you had 10 signatures and you put, I only had 5. Mm-hmm. The 5 are good. That's fine.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But if you overstate the number that are actually there before challenges, the whole page goes.
Okay, I understand. I think he's going to dispute that. I don't know if it gets to court, but because actually he had me in here counting. Mm-hmm. And again, there were a couple that I couldn't tell if that was a signature or a scribble or a circle, but he's disputing that. I'm not going to do it on his behalf. We'll move on. That was the ruling from both commissioners. It looks like at this point there will not be a candidate on the no hospital downtown line unless Mr. Posha takes the case to court. All right, let's talk about a couple of other things. The term limit vote in the city of Utica, is that something that you folks were involved in, or did that go through the clerk's office?
City clerk.
We are not involved in that at all.
Would you
Thank
have
goodness.
become involved at some point?
So we were asked, the clerk of the city, Pat Lindsay, had called us and asked us for a list of registered voters in the city. So as far as sort of our involvement, that kind of ends right there.
Okay. Which is easy.
And again, she needed to cross-check
Exactly.
Right.
registered voters
Right.
versus, okay, I understand that. Let me ask about judges' races. There is going to be an opening for a family court judge. It was explained to me, and you guys can fill in the details, there will only be 2 candidates? Is that, and that they're chosen by the party? Is that how that works?
Well,
Not necessarily
not
2
necessarily
candidates.
2.
Oh, boy, this
So let me
becomes
just
confusing.
first
You
say
have to pass a test before you take this job.
no, and
No.
I wish they would have made us take a test because I would not have made it.
No, we just have to read the election law very carefully and call the State Board
And
of Elections.
before we get
tomorrow.
into this race, let me just say a happy birthday to my favorite family court judge, Randy Caldwell, and his daughter Alexandra. So let me just say that.
Happy birthday, dear.
So in this particular case, welcome to the New York State election law. So the family court judge race was in this particular seat was voted on last year, if you recall. Judge Skane was reelected last year. Correct. Because there were no petitions filed, because it was not up for election this year, and because the vacancy occurred after the petition period, we are in this kind of warp time zone thing where the parties will have to file a certificate of nomination rather than go through the primary process. Now, the Democrats will choose the candidate, the Republicans will choose the candidate, the Independence Party if they choose, so there may be 5 different candidates. Right. We don't know.
But it's 1 per line.
1 per line.
Okay.
There'll be no primary on any line.
Okay, I understand. So it could be up to 5.
Those
or whatever.
Those family court positions. I mean, the last election where Judge Bruyere won, they had added a family court seat.
Correct.
And it's a very it's very difficult from what I understand. My stepfather is involved with family law, so it's a very complicated type of law, but a very popular one, it seems, because there was a lot of people that ran for that one, and now I think a lot of people are running for this one. So it seems to be not intentionally,
to run,
right?
I should say, yeah.
Not intentionally, but the family court positions have come up in strange ways with regard to elections the last couple of years, I think.
Can I ask for just your opinion? So many, like we talked to Lou and Frank and even Emil Paparella, the 3 candidates we talked to today. They're like local guys, neighborhood guys, running for city council or county. Should these election laws be streamlined like the president's proposing to do with the tax system, tax forms? Should it be this difficult and this many, I guess, hurdles and obstacles and objections and everything? Or is this process fine the way it is?
That's a loaded question.
It is. I just
is.
want your thoughts on this because you guys deal with this all the time. People objecting, and then you have to contact the state. You have to read the law. It seems to me to be very confusing.
I would say for some people it's very confusing. For other times it's really not. And for those people who do it properly, who get plenty of extra signatures, people take a look at those and say, I'm not challenging those. It's a waste of my time.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, it takes a lot of work to get on the ballot. There's no doubt about it.
Well, as it should. I mean, you're running for a political office.
As it should. You're asking people for their vote. So, I would never run for office. Let me just say that. So, but if you are asking people for their vote, and you should be prepared for other people get it done. That's what I'll say. Other people get it done, no problem. So there's, no one.
That's fair.
No one put a gun to their head and say, get on the independent line, do this, do that. Look, you've got to make that decision on your own, and you should be accountable for it.
And we, just to add something else, we as commissioners are there for candidates to come in, call, explain the process, which we do. You know, this is how many signatures you need. Here are your walking lists. You know, take those lists. Go. Make sure that these people on these lists sign your petitions.
See, I
So
didn't
you-
I
See what I'm
necessarily
saying?
realize
So we're
that.
there for that.
So you
Okay.
actually have a list of people that would be eligible for that part. So let's say, for instance, if Mr. Posha had come to you and said, okay, how many signatures do I need for the No Hospital Downtown line, and who do I have to sign?
Correct.
You would provide a list.
Definitely. Definitely.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
And if
That's
you
what
know,
we're there for.
one of the quirky rules of New York State election law is if you're going to get an independent line, if you've signed a petition, you can't witness, petitions for an independent line. So, it takes a little bit of forethought and
Right.
planning ahead. So if, for Frank Gentile to say, well, if the rules were changed, it would have been easier for me to get signatures. Well, then, I'm sorry, but you got to plan, and that's just the reality of the situation.
Right.
I understand. No, and I think that's a fair point. I do think it's a little complicated and maybe more difficult than it needs to be, but that's a fair point. Other candidates have done it. Why can't you? So
and
that's fair.
we have candidates that call every day.
With questions. And they want to make sure they're doing it right.
And am
Yeah.
I doing this right? And am I doing that right? And what do I need for independent? And who can sign and who can't sign and who can witness and who can't witness? So that's what we're there for.
Okay.
To give them what they're looking for.
So I want to just get back to the hospital situation,
boy.
not with the No Hospital Downtown line, but now opponents of the downtown hospital, I believe are I would imagine are hoping that this happens. But if it goes to a vote and the city council rejects the 40% for the parking garage, it could go to a referendum. Is that something you guys would handle, or how would that be handled?
Well, it would be on our ballots, but we wouldn't handle the wording or the process of that.
It would
that
just
whole
be on
thing.
the ballot. Okay.
Yeah.
While we've got you here, we've only got a couple of minutes left. I want to ask, is it anyone listening who's not registered, is it too late?
It
For the
is
primary.
For the primary.
But not for the general?
Not for the general.
Correct.
What's the last date? Do you know for
I
the
think it's
general?
October 15th this year, off the top of my head.
Okay. And then I had one other question in there about the general election as well. There has been some merging of polling locations over the years. Will we see that continue? I seem to get a note every year. You're here. You're here. I'm over at the Armory now.
So you're not at
You're
the
not
Armory
at the
now.
Armory. So I'm glad we're here because we did want to mention this.
I'm at MVCC.
You're at
You are,
MVCC.
yes.
That was the
Yes.
note I just got a couple
we had
weeks ago.
we were forced to move out of the Armory for an environmental issue. So we were forced to move. Everyone who's at the Armory is now at MVCC at the Jorgensen Center. Those affected should be getting a mail piece
Mail
from the
piece.
Board of
I
Elections.
did get that. I did get that a
Was it-
couple weeks ago.
What, the yellow card or you're getting
was a
something
yellow
else
card.
too?
You're going
just
to
don't
be
get the
getting.
red
We're going to
card.
be getting another
Yeah.
mailer.
You're welcome.
A
Thank
nice
you.
mailer that we prepared. Yes. So yes,
you.
you will be at the Jorgensen Center. We will be there probably 4 or 5 times throughout the day to make sure that everything is running smoothly.
Yep, we'll have handicap parking in the
Handicap
back with plenty of
parking.
signs.
Yes.
And if anybody has any questions, they can call our office,
Yes,
798-5765.
right.
MVCC has been very, very good to us to step up and allow us to use the Jorgensen Center.
Jordan Karp is the Democratic Commissioner. Rose Grimaldi is the Republican Commissioner. Thank you both. This was much more entertaining today than I thought it would be. I
Yes.
thought,
Thank you
well,
for
we're going to
having
go over
us.
election law. This is going to be boring. But I wanted to find out. This actually was a very good segment. I appreciate it.